Today on People with Passion for Pets, we talk with Carol Conti of Phoenix Area Disc Dogs. Carol is a longtime disc dog competitor and loves introducing other dogs and their owners to this amazing dog sport. So hi, this is Carol Conti with Phoenix Area Disc Dogs today. So we're excited to talk to you.
Oh, thank you so much for asking me. I'm excited to be here. Yeah, people know us by PHADD, and our motto is, it's not just a fad, it's a lifestyle.
Oh, that's cool.
That's cute.
And my club's mission is to increase the canine human relationship through playing Frisbee with your dog.
That's our
mission
motto.
is to improve the relationship between pets and their owners. So that's really cool. Yeah, so now the weather is perfect in Phoenix, and I'm assuming this is the great time to get out there and do some disc dog with your dog.
Absolutely. We are so looking forward to not playing at 6 a.m. During the summer, we literally get together right before sunrise. And now, we aren't starting until 8 o'clock because the sunrise is really late in Phoenix. So yeah, and it's really strange for us to be out there after 8 o'clock, but we're starting up at 8 o'clock and we're loving life right now.
Wow, I'm so impressed you guys go all summer long.
We do. Phoenix Area Disc Dogs is the only year-round club in Arizona. We're also the oldest in Arizona. But yeah, we go all year long, all through the summer. We don't play very long, obviously, because it's so hot, and we play early in the morning. But yes, we're looking forward to meeting at 8 o'clock Saturdays.
That's awesome. Well, I have all kinds of questions. I know Jim has too. Yeah. You know, dog sports is something that we always highly recommend to all of our clients because, you know, it's tough to make sure that your dog gets the proper exercise. And I think dog sports are just so much fun because it involves not just the dog, but the owner as well. And it really builds on that team and have them work together. So I'm interested to know more about how that works. But tell me how, when you got started with disc dogs.
We had adopted from an oops litter. Didn't know oops litter. A little was little at the time, and Fuzzy. He was Border Collie Queensland Heeler mix. And I didn't know what we were getting into. And actually, and Mom had a little bit of chow, so we had a little bit of extra fuzzy fur everywhere, and just the cutest little thing. And as you can imagine, not understanding, herding breeds, we were not prepared for the amount of activity that this little dog that grew into a big dog would require. And just about the time that I was pulling my hair out, I'm a teacher. And one of the teachers at our school brought his dog to work with him and to show the kids that his dog was a Frisbee dog. We call them disc dogs. And so I had brought some kids over to see his show, and I was like, that's it. We've got to try this. And his name's Brian Hewitt, and come to find out, he was the founder of the Phoenix Area Disc Dogs. And it was a club just starting out, just getting off the ground. And he invited me, and I had all kinds of concerns, like what happens if I throw it, my dog runs away, and things like that. So we had a few things that we had to take care of first before we just threw it and hoped. But that's how we came about. And he came about it in the same way. He had adopted a little Border Collie, and she re-landscaped his yard for him and dug lots of holes. And he said, we need to do something. And he looked up a local man. His name is Bill Water, and he was a Frisbee dog. He had made commercials. He disc dogger from way back, and the two connected. And Brian built the club Phoenix Area Disc Dogs, and that's how I got involved. And that was, 14 or 15 years ago.
That's awesome.
That's fun.
So just to clear this up, I guess I always did not know that the name disc dog is kind of the same thing as Frisbee, but you can't say Frisbee.
Right. Frisbee is it has a copyright on it. The good folks that make Frisbee are generous, but we're careful that the proper term, if you will, is called a disc.
Perfect.
And
Okay.
it also makes for cool little acronyms when you can have a disc dog with 2 Ds at the end. So
Perfect. Okay, good. Thank you. What's the easiest way for someone to actually get into it? What does it cost to get into it? You know, if we started getting that going, what would we tell people to do? This is how you get started.
well, to do disc with your dogs is actually one of the least expensive dog sports you can join. And the cool thing about doing a disc dog or being a disc dogger is that you can do it at whatever level you are comfortable with. If you just want to, in our club, I tell people we have members who will literally hold coffee in one hand and throw the Frisbee to the dog with the other hand. And they're getting their exercise, and they're also getting out and socializing, being socially distant, of course, but all the way up to people who want to compete and are working on freestyle routines where the dog is jumping off them. But the outlay is, oh gosh, about $20 to get a couple of really good quality Frisbees, discs, if you will. There are some great companies out there that make them. The actual Frisbee was a product of Whammo, and Whammo sold their rights to Discover the World. So you can actually get a dog Frisbee if you want. It'll just say Discovering the World on the bottom instead of Whammo, as well as the Hyperflight Company and Hero Disc USA, just to name a few. So you want a good quality dog disc. If it has a big box pet store's name on it, probably not your best choice. They shatter easily and they can actually harm your dog. So, but if you just hit your favorite search engine and typed in good discs for dogs, you'll get a couple good references right away.
Excellent.
And then I would say if to check and see if you've got a club locally. Coming in with a club with like-minded people, it's infectious. The amount of energy and enthusiasm you build, and and those people can show you how to get started, from whether you've got a puppy or whether you just adopted a 6-year-old from the shelter, or even if you have a 13-year-old, some of the things that you can do. And again, it's at every level for every breed of dog. And we at our club, we like to say that we accept all breeds of dogs and friendly people. We can work around little snarky dogs quite well and help them with behavioral issues. But as you know, there is no substitute for good dog training. But exercise is so important. So helping them out with that one component is, we see a lot of results really quickly.
And that's a good idea, because if they're not sure if their dog is capable of doing this, I'm sure they'll say, well, what if my dog's not sure? They could find a good club and ask some questions and say, well, go get a disc and see what your dog does. You know, does he grab the disc and run off, or does he just run by it? Or
yeah. And a good club would be able to help you out with, if they don't come back, what next? You know, those kinds of things. But it is probably the cheapest competitive dog sport out there. We participate in the Worldwide Canine Frisbee Toss and Fetch League. It costs us $15 total for 5 weeks. Where, yeah, I probably couldn't run around an agility course for $15 at all, let alone come back, 5 times. Yes. And it's something that you can do in your backyard or at a local park if your municipality allows off-park training. So yeah, it's a great gateway drug into other dog sports, because lots of people also, when you go into a disc dog club, you'll find people doing barn hunt and agility and rally and dock diving and all of the other ones. And Frisbee is among the easiest to learn, to start out with anyway. You know?
So you answered a lot of my questions already. You mentioned that, it's for any dog, any age. And so that's really, really neat. Do you find that certain dog breeds are better, or have you ever had a dog that absolutely couldn't learn it?
We've had owners who gave up trying to get their dogs to learn.
Well spoken.
But I kind of use the analogy of football. You know, in football, we have great big offensive linemen. We need offensive linemen to protect the quarterback, but they're maybe not as agile as a wide receiver. So same in the dog world. I have seen Mastiffs play. I have seen Great Danes play. There's a Beauceron playing on our team. We have a Doberman playing on our team. Dogs that seem to take more naturally to it are herding breeds, because going after the Frisbee to them is the same as, chasing a neighbor's cat or rounding up the sheep or things like that. A lot of the working dogs, gun dogs, things like that. But we've seen little pugs play, Chihuahuas play, and all the way up to these great big huge breeds that just, you talk about people watching. Wow. When the big dogs come out, they're always amazed that this great big dog can lumber down the field and catch the Frisbee.
So for the sport itself, like you talked about competition. So what are some of the things that are looked at in a competition? Is it just that the dog will catch it or catch it in a certain way?
There are a lot of different kinds of games in Frisbee. I'm sure the one that everybody has seen, maybe on the Incredible Dog Challenge on TV, with the dogs jumping off their chests and doing flips and spins and all the different kinds of throws. And that's just one small aspect of it. And I didn't get started in disc thinking that my 50-pound dog was a little big for me to have him jump off, and then finding out that there are just tons of games that you can play that don't involve the dog knocking you down, jumping off your chest or off your back. Don't get me wrong, I do a little bit of freestyle. It's not my passion, but I dabble in it a little bit. But there are games that where you need speed. There are games where the handler needs to have accuracy. And there are games that distance is the thing. So just finding the games that you like to play. And there are even a series of games that combine agility and disc dogs, and it's called Friz-Agility, where the dog has to clear obstacles and then has to catch a Frisbee. So for the crossover athletes, that's always a popular one.
Did I see on your Facebook page that you even had, was that a dog diving or something? It looked like there was some water involved with some of them.
They were, a lot of our Frisbee dogs will chase the Frisbee off the dock. So again, those crossover dogs, depending on what you did first, but dock and Frisbee have not combined yet.
So the basics of it then, that you can start, if you just get started, could be basically you just throw the Frisbee, teach your dog how to coordinate grabbing it and then bring it back to you and doing it again. And then it can go up to there to just unlimited. It seems like there's a lot of things you can do.
Exactly. I'm looking forward to, we've got 3 puppies coming into the club soon. They haven't had all of their shots, so obviously they can't be out and about yet, but we'll actually start them down on the ground, maybe with a little smaller Frisbee. We'll turn it upside down and just kind of play keep away with them. And of course, every time they touch it, it's like a big party. We mark that behavior. This is what we want to see. Yay, woohoo. We might play tug with them and build that out command, the drop it command, give it back to me command, that kind of thing. But we're right down there on the ground. One of the last things actually we do is actually throw the Frisbee. Okay. But with our little puppies, we'll be sliding it upside down and getting them to grab it and playing tug of war and things like that. When they're a little bigger, we'll roll it on the ground. And that mimics, the squirrel, the neighbor's cat running across, and they'll usually chase it. It also teaches them to catch it on the edge and while it's moving. And then, of course, we have to build that recall, because if the dog doesn't come back, the game's over. So, teaching the dog, building value on me as the handler, like if you bring that back to me, it happens all over again. And how cool is that? And usually when the light bulb goes on for the dog, and I'm sure you guys have seen it, life as you know it is over. Oh, if I bring this back, you'll do it again and again and again and again. But we have to be careful with the young dogs, of course. We want to, keep everybody safe. We want to keep the little dogs, the young dogs, until their growth plates are closed. Keep them down low, and we don't do anything where they would jump off and go up. We spend a lot of time, rollers on the ground and low throws and things like that. But
Excellent.
exactly like you described it, Jim, you can go as far as you want. You can throw it 10 yards and be happy with that, or you can, try to become a world distance disc dogger. That
Wow.
you see some of these throws. Sometimes you'll see them on the halftime shows at football games where they'll throw like an 80-yard throw, and those dogs will
Yeah.
go out and get it. Or you can have an older dog that just needs to be kept busy and mentally stimulated. They don't know
Right.
they're old. So
Exactly.
Frisbee is kind of an event that you can do at whatever developmental level your dog is at. And there are things that we do to keep everybody, safe and healthy, because we want the dog to be able, to walk when they're 16 years old, because as you
Excellent.
know, a lot of those herding breeds live a long, long time. So it's up to us to protect them.
Well, I can see how, you mentioned so many of the other things that are so important for having a safe relationship, which is trust and a solid recall, and also being able to work the dog off leash. So I think, even outside of just having fun with your dog and making it a sporting event, it's also a great way to teach your dog all of those skills. So that's really neat.
Yes, and here in the city of Phoenix, we have an ordinance that actually allows us to train off leash, where most municipalities you cannot have a dog off leash. But our ordinance here in Phoenix allows us to train off leash if we are training for an AKC approved sport, which disc is now. If the dog has a canine good citizen, so the dogs that are members the dogs that are members of our club either have it or are working towards it. And they also have to be properly licensed, which means they have their rabies shot. And other little things like you can only have one dog off leash at a time and things like that. But that it absolutely improves that bond, because those are all the beginning skills. We, you don't take a puppy out and throw the Frisbee and hope. You have to build up to it, and if you've got a dog that doesn't have a solid recall, a dog club would be able to help you build that.
Interesting. Yeah.
Because, like I said, if the dog doesn't bring the disc back, the game can't continue. So.
That's it. So you'd mentioned freestyle. Well, now that sounds like a lot of fun. What's some of your favorite freestyles? What is freestyle?
Freestyle is a series of tricks that it is a judged event, so it's somewhat subjective, but almost all disc organizations have they want to see you do different throws with your dog. They want to see that you are throwing in a safe manner, that the dog is not put at risk. You're not having them jump too high. That you do a series of tricks, and then you'll see the handler will then throw the Frisbee down the field. And while you're oohing and awing and marveling at that wonderful throw, they're running around like a wild person picking up all the Frisbees, so that when the dog comes back, they're stacked and ready to go again. But yeah, and it is so cool to do, because you really have to work closely with your dog. Your dog has to trust that if I'm going to have my dog vault off my back, that I'm going to be a stable platform, that I will put the disc where they can get it and not put them at risk, so they have a nice nice landing that isn't hard on their joints. But trick training certainly comes into play when you can have your dog going around you backwards and then jump up on your back and string some of those tricks together. It really, really improves that bond between the dog and the handler. And as you know, the more tricks, the more things that you do, the more eager your dog is, and the faster they actually catch on to stuff.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
So what's your favorite freestyle thing? I know you said some jumping off your back or something. What's some of them?
That's a vault. The vault is if they use you and jump off. Okay. There are other moves called overs, where the dog will jump over an obstacle, over you, over your leg, over your back. There are rebound actions where the dog will change direction. So they would come in and chest and hip rebounds are really popular, where the dog comes in and hits you at an angle. And so the dog would come in this way and I would present the disc this way. And they kind of do a box turn, if you're familiar with fly ball, where they go in, hit the box and jump off. Those are all really, really popular. And then there are things that prove your handler skills, where you'll see a lot of the dogs may maybe jump over your arms a few times and then maybe do a backflip or a little helicopter spin or something like that, or scoot backwards through your legs, or, my dog, we call it orbit, where he goes around me, he's going backwards and I'm turning, and it ends with him scooting between my legs and jumping up on my back into a stall. Fancy name for great picture opportunity.
That's awesome.
That's really, really cool. So it's not just about catching the disc. You can do whatever's just whatever you feel like. I mean, that's what freestyle is what do you want to do?
Exactly. And most things that score best, of course, are things that end with the dog catching the Frisbee, because it is a disc dog competition.
Okay.
But I'm sure you've seen things like freestyle dance. They're with dogs, and there are a lot of teams that are incorporating things like that within their routines. So
you also mentioned earlier competitions that are happening that are international competitions. So how do those work?
Yes, one of the I keep calling it a new sport. Disc has been around for years and years and years and years. And there were a few clubs, I believe it started in the Ohio, Michigan, some people that would actually travel around in the summertime, and they would play doing the freestyle competitions. And then usually there was some kind of distance or accuracy competition. And they developed a league. And the league is a worldwide canine Frisbee toss and fetch. You can look it up on Google and check out the website. And it is actually a worldwide league. And just like if you had a bowling league where you had your bowling night, teams from all over the world play. You pick your day and you go out and you play. And toss and fetch is just like what it sounds like. You toss it, the dog fetches it, brings it back, and you keep doing that for a minute. And the farther away the dog catches the Frisbee, the more points it's worth. And then your team scores are sent into the central headquarters. And every Friday, teams get ranked. I'm proud to say that the Phoenix area Disc Dogs is currently ranked number 3 in the world.
Oh,
and
wow.
It is truly a worldwide league. We have teams in Europe. We have teams in teams playing in Israel. We have teams in Mexico. We have teams playing in Australia and New Zealand, as well as Canada, and then all over the United States.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's really cool.
At the end of the day, it's about having fun with your dog.
Absolutely.
And most people and most dogs like structure. And in the absence of structure, they'll look for ways to amuse themselves, and not always, landscaping.
It usually involves the destruction of a couch or a chair.
Exactly. And so there is no substitute for good training, but training can be a whole lot of fun, and the dogs really, really like it. They like to know that you've got their back. They like to know where their boundaries are. It's all about getting out with your dog.
Yeah, and that'll help encourage the human to get out, because a lot of times the human will go, well, can I take my dog? Well, disc dog is just a wonderful thing. It builds that bond that you're trying to get, that we're all trying to get people to do, is have that bond with their pet,
Absolutely. And like I said, does have the added advantage of being one of the least expensive sports out there. So, in canine sports. So I would encourage everybody to give it a try. If you do, make sure you get a good quality dog Frisbee. Again, if it says a big box pet store's name on it, probably is not the Frisbee that you want to use.
Right. Yeah.
And
Okay.
But yeah, we don't want any cut tongues and split gums and things like that. So
is it? But it is plastic discs that you prefer, because I know they also have some of the softer material type things. Are those less useful?
You can play with fabric Frisbees. You can play with softer rubbery Frisbees. Kong comes to mind. Hyperflight makes a nice one. It's actually called a soft flight.
Okay.
As you get more and more involved in it, the more floppy a frisbee, the less stable it is in the air. If it's unstable in the air,
Okay.
it does weird things and culminates with plummeting to the ground before you want it to. So most people make a transition to a good quality dog safe frisbee from a company that that's their business, is making dog safe equipment and dog safe frisbees, dog safe discs. And they'll, once they've caught the bug, they want their frisbee to fly a little farther,
Makes sense.
have a more
Absolutely.
predictable flight path and things like that, so that they can do more things with their dog.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Awesome. So Carol, for our viewers that are here in the Phoenix area, how can they get in touch with your club and
If you
become a
just
part of it?
Google Phoenix area disc dogs, we should come up as, or disc dogs in Phoenix or disc dogs in Arizona. We should come up probably close to the top because we've been around so long. There are other clubs out at Tucson, Payson, and then in the greater Phoenix area. But I'm proud to say we are the only year-round club that does more than just toss and fetch. But yeah, just Google it. Getting in touch with us through Facebook, like for most, is the easiest way. Send us a message. I'm the person who responds, and as long as I'm not teaching, I usually respond within the hour, unless it's a school day, and then it'll and then it has to wait until lunchtime or evening. But we'll get back to you. You can also, if you're looking for a toss and fetch club, go to their website. I believe it's Canine Frisbee. Or if you look at Worldwide Toss and Fetch League or something like that, they'll come up, and they actually have a map of the world and where there are clubs located.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, and if you still can't find anyone, hit me up, and I'll put out a notice for whatever state you're in to see if we can't find someone that's close to where you are.
Well, very good. This has been a great interview. Thank you so much for doing this. I learned a lot on this. I've never even really thought about it when I would tell people to join up. I never really thought of the opportunities that the people and their pets have. That's
Well,
really
I'm
excellent.
so glad you extended the invitation. You know, there are clubs here in the greater Phoenix Valley that are looking for members. So if anybody's out there that's interested in disc, I invite you to hit me up on Facebook. And if I'm not the right spot for you, then I bet you I can find you one that'll meet your needs.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Carol. Such a pleasure. And we'll hope to talk to you or hopefully see you sometime.
Yeah.
Awesome. You're invited to come out Paradise Valley Park Saturday mornings, 8 a.m. right now while it's cold for Phoenix, 40 degrees.
Yeah.
In the Midwest would laugh at us. But again, thank you. The privilege was all mine. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching today. I hope you enjoyed the information. And until next time, keep your paws on the road.